Hello again, everyone. My name is Richard. I'm here to explain my story of Port Alberni gang stalking. What you're looking at is a site certificate, a survey done by Akers and Pollock in Port Alberni of our property when we purchased our property, when we bought it. And I'm here to explain how these sick gang stalkers, these sick commie-loving motherfuckers that live in my community, this is what they do is they use your neighbors. Okay, they use your neighbors to help in the destruction of your marriage, your life, everything. Okay, and I'm explaining what commie bastards my neighbors are. Okay, now if you go to consend.org, and I have explained it at Blogger too, about my idiot neighbor and explained how they use my neighbor to try and get me to burst out in anger, to snap and to beat up my neighbor, to do something to cause violence or destruction against him. They try everything to get you to do something that might make you look insane, like you've lost it, you're nuts. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to explain to you how nuts my neighbor is. You can see clearly the dispute that I had was my neighbor came onto my property and he cut one of my trees down because one of my branches was touching the corner of his house. He maintains that his property line is further away from his house than what I told him it is. And when he cut it down and I went out there and gave him shit for it, he turns and tells me I'm insane, he says. This is my neighbor. My neighbor comes over, and disrespectful neighbor comes over and cuts my tree down, tells me where my property line is. I spent money on to get my property surveyed, and I expect something from it, and this is it. And clearly you can see this is my neighbor's house right there. Clearly you can read, it says eaves encroach the property line. Okay, so what does that tell you? Okay, now the tree was clearly probably over right around here, and he cuts it down and then tells me I'm insane. Okay, this is just one of the many things he does. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, I've gone out and found my truck with flat tires. Okay, my cat died and I found it dead lying by my out there by my truck. No reason, no explanation, whatever. Without saying, oh, someone did it, whatever. I'm just going to tell you that I've got some sick people living in my neighborhood, okay? And I'm pointing them out. And I wanted to show you this. Most of all, I wanted to show my neighbor this because apparently my neighbor is misinformed, and apparently maybe he should go get his own property surveyed, and he'll find out that his house is sitting on my property line, as you can clearly see, or pretty much on my property line. And you have to be an absolute idiot not to see that and to respect that of your neighbor's property. To let you know, neighbor, I could put a fence right fucking there, okay? Right up against your house if I choose to do so. And you need to know that, and that's what I should be doing, is put up a great big wall right there. But I wanted you, the people, to see this when I talk about my neighbor and explain to you how they use your neighbors to turn against you. Now, neighbor, you can be guaranteed, I know that people came to you and said, oh, you should keep your kid away from him and blah, blah, blah. That's fine. You know, I can't do anything about that. But like I said before, if that did happen, maybe you should tell my mother and my father and my wife, because when I tell them that people have come and done this and, you know, got you into this, then they say no, it's not true. So maybe you should think about that and realize that this is how Hitler took over, okay? No one questioned authority when they came and said, oh, we want you to do this or that or this or that. You need to figure out and realize that what this is really all about, you see. So this is why I'm telling my neighbors, okay? You've been caught up in something that you can't escape now, and I'm going to expose every single fucking thing. Because like I said, just like with Clifford Olson, sorry, but I've got the bag of goodies and we're going to talk about it, but not yet, because I haven't got enough people coming to my site yet. Not enough viewers, okay? When the whole frickin' world, when I get the attention of the whole frickin' country, we'll talk about it, okay? We'll talk about the sick shit that goes on in this community. Like devil worshipping, okay? And hiding people who abduct and torture children. It's fucking sickening, Port Alberni, okay? And I'm going to point out to the people in this country all the sickness, you sick commie bastards that are trying to take over this country, okay? And this is why I'm showing this to you. So neighbor, I hope you've had a good look at this and understand 36 feet away from the end quarter of my trailer. So by all means, neighbor, take your fucking tape measure and stick it to the edge of my mobile home and walk towards your property, and you'll see 36 fucking feet away is my property line. And you should stand there and take a look at it and respect that. Now, because you've seen this, maybe this will give your head a shaking, okay? You need to realize you've been fucking had, okay? By a bunch of commie bastards who have talked you into bullshit. But if you continue to do so, by all means do so. I don't care. I'm here to explain to the world all the sick people that have fucked me. Now, I should go outside with this camera and show the people the tree you cut down so they get an understanding, okay? Because I don't like people saying, no, it didn't happen, you're insane, you can't believe that guy, he's insane. Yeah, well, I've got proof of it, okay? There's a stump sitting outside there, and I didn't cut the tree down, my fucking neighbor did, and it's clearly like fucking 6 feet away from the corner or from the property line. So what kind of shit is that? So I think you should be more respectful, neighbor. And again, it probably comes to your upbringing. Your mommy and your daddy didn't show you what fucking respect did. That's the problem with you people. You're all fuck-ups is what it is. You're all fucking fuck-ups of society. That's what it's all about. That's the kind of people that get recruited, okay? Good people don't do this kind of fucking shit. So again, you should think about that for a while there, neighbor. Thanks again. Remember, God loves you. Loves you more when you use cannabis and hemp.